So this morning on Morning Joe, these two are like center-right Republicans on MSNBC. Apparently they went to Donald Trump and they met with him at Mar-a-Lago and tried to restore communications, talking about how we are going to have a nice, cordial, partnership of democracy moving into the future. And we're going to work with Donald Trump. Donald Trump did post something later on in the day making fun of them. But first, I want to go over what they said about Trump. They're basically bending on their knees, begging King Trump to not come after them.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply.
And by the way, I cannot stand how every member of media has a famous or rich parent. Okay, so her dad was a famous diplomat who worked in multiple Democratic White Houses. And it's just funny because almost every person you see talking on the media, they have a parent or a parent's parent. It's all nepotism. It's all someone who had connections to higher ups and a lot of people in power their entire lives. I wish we had some people on the news who were not connected to every elite member of society. That's why she was friends with Trump, because they're all friends with their fellow elites. They all go to the same dinner party.
Dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade.
By the way, this sounds so scripted and teleprompter read. They usually don't sound this scripted, but they are obviously faking a message right now. And like I said, they're begging Trump, please don't come after us. We were kidding this whole time, calling you a danger to democracy. We could actually be friends. We could be friends. I wonder why no one took us seriously.
That we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike. We had not spoken to President Trump since March of 2020, other than a personal call Joe made to Trump on the morning after the attempt on his life in Butler, Pennsylvania. In this meeting, President Trump was cheerful, he was upbeat, he seemed interested in finding common ground with Democrats on some of the most divisive issues. And for those asking,
yeah, Trump wants common ground. We can all move together. We could hold hands, and all that politics stuff was just all fun and games. That's how politics did operate. So Morning Joe probably thinks, let's return to normal a little bit. And by Morning Joe, I mean the entire show. Let's return to normal. She brings up her dad and what her dad did. But Donald Trump is not normal politics. You can't just run from this. You can't normalize it. Donald Trump did not accept this. He goes to Truth Social and says, this morning, Morning Joe and Mika, who owe their careers to me, went on their show and claimed to have met with me. They made it sound like we had a big summit. The truth is, Joe begged to meet with me after our big win, and when I finally agreed, he approached me like a scolded dog. He should consider himself lucky that I didn't have him thrown out of beautiful Mar-a-Lago. Mika was charming, as usual. Donald Trump will not let them escape this, bro. You can't just switch like that. You can't switch that quickly, and, of course, this was posted. They're all friends, okay? They viewed politics as a game. They view politics like NFL Sunday. They think when you hear an athlete talk like, oh, we're enemies on the field, but we're friends off the field, that's how many of these people view politics. And she's been in politics for a long time. Of course, her father was. And that's how they think this is going to go, but it's not the same. They talk about like, oh, we talked to Donald Trump about going after political opponents, and we don't think that's not cool. That's not cool. We don't like that. And Trump seems really open to working with Democrats and, whatever. We've seen Joe Biden make appeals to this, trying to return to normalcy. But yeah, maybe, keep on covering Trump consistently. Cover him consistently. Don't try to change overnight. Please drop a like on this video, whether you're watching it live or if you watch it back on YouTube. It really helps me in the algorithm, and consider subscribing.
Why we would go speak to the president-elect during such fraught times, especially between us. I guess I would ask back, why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country.
Did you hear the pause reading off the teleprompter? It's so fake. It comes off as so fake. Everyone knows it's fake, bro. Everyone knows it's fake.
Why wouldn't we? 5 years of political warfare has deeply divided Washington and the country. We have been as clear as we know how in expressing our deep concerns about President Trump's actions and words in the coarsening of public debate. But for nearly 80 million Americans, election denialism, public trials, and January 6th were not as important as the issues that moved them to send Donald Trump back to the White House.
Please, President Trump, don't come after me. And Steve Bannon said, bend the knee, kiss the ring. And they're setting Donald Trump as this king. They want Donald Trump to be a king. They want Donald Trump to be a theocrat. They want Donald Trump to be a god emperor. That's what they're really looking for. You know, Donald Trump came to the UFC event like a Colosseum in ancient Rome. Like he's Caesar himself, just like coming in, everyone having to stand and applaud. They want to see Donald Trump as king. They put him above or next to God. And all they see now are people scrambling to come over to Trump and say, oh, I'm so sorry, Trump. I'm so sorry. I never meant to say that, Trump. I actually loved you. I loved you this entire time. Like, no, that's not how this works anymore, buddy. That's not how this works. We're in a completely different world now. Completely different world. You can't just pick and choose when politics matters, based on your sense of civility politics or whatever. But yeah, it is scary when Trump is threatening to go after everyone. Trump threatened to go after pollsters that did bad polls, to open investigations using and weaponizing the White House and the DOJ. Like, Donald Trump is making it very clear he wants to be an authoritarian. He wants to follow dictators around the world. He wants to weaponize the government for his own personal gain, for Elon Musk and his personal gain, for Peter Thiel and his personal gain, and all of these members of Trump's administration. Trump will be overtly corrupt. He'll be overly corrupt and overtly corrupt. Democrats need to become a party that rejects billionaires, that rejects the elites. Maybe not even billionaires, maybe oligarchs. Because you could have $5 billion, and that's nothing compared to the power that Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg, is nothing compared to what they have. We have a new tier in society. It's going to be the millionaires, billionaires, and then trillionaires, and oligarchs. So Democrats need to be aggressive on this point, and push back against Donald Trump, because Donald Trump's scaring everyone. He said he's going to open investigations into Jake Tapper, any media person, Morning Joe, from the Seltzer poll in Iowa. Like, everyone is going to be under attack under Trump's administration, apparently. Everyone's going to be under attack. That's all Trump wants to do. He's not talking about any real policies at all, except going after people. And that could have been easily predicted.
With their vote. Joe and I realize it's time to do something different. And that starts with not only talking about Donald Trump, but also talking with him.
It's so cringe, bro.
So I don't know. Seems to make sense for leaders of both parties to seek common ground, if it's possible at all.
It's like a, I don't know, a poorly written script. Look at him talk. He does not look happy. It looks like they're being held at gunpoint to say this. Like, unironically, it looks like they're extremely stressed out reading the teleprompter. Both parties need to come together, guys.
As somebody close to Donald Trump told me this past weekend, this is a president who's not seeking re-election, so maybe, just maybe, now could be the time for both parties to get to work. And I know, given the jarring headlines that we read every day, that may seem like a stretch, but think about this. Of the 150 million votes cast, Donald Trump got 50%. Kamala Harris got about 49%.
Donald Trump actually got 49.9%. Donald Trump did not get a majority of votes. So a majority of Americans voted against Donald Trump. It's not really a mandate. He did win the election by a very small margin, an extremely small margin, like super tiny. He won by less of a margin than Hillary beat Trump by. for the popular vote, obviously, because Trump was saved by the DEI Electoral College for white people, apparently. It's a interesting time we live in.
So I don't know. Seems to make sense for leaders of both parties to seek common ground if it's possible at all. And I will tell you, a lot of Democratic leaders we've talked to this past week since the election have told Mika and me it's time for a new approach. And when I say top Democrats, I mean top Democrats. They said, we're open, and this was before we talked to Donald Trump. They said, listen, we're open to working with the incoming president if the incoming president is open to working with us.
I feel like at that point they need to do that, because the hope would be that you maintain, things being as normal as possible. So when Donald Trump falls off the rails and things go crazy, then they can come and save the day. Stay close to your enemies, basically. Donald Trump says he wants to do these things. Maybe if they agree on some policy somewhere, try to work with him. And if he does not accomplish anything, then blame him. Because if they are super obstructionist, if Democrats are, they don't really want to prevent a lot of what Trump wants to do, because what he wants to do is extremely bad and damaging for the overall economy and every person in America and globally. So if Trump's able to do what he does, it's going to help Democrats politically, or if he's able to do what he wants to do. If Trump's able just to use the military to do his mass deportations and he's not able to do the other bad things, he might not get blamed for it enough. So like I said, Democrats, pretend you support things you agree with Trump on, try to get those policies passed, whatever. And when he messes up, try to make sure you get make sure the right blame goes to the right people.
Yeah, the question is, though, how do we get there? Hyperbole and personal attacks will not work. My hair on fire doesn't work. We've all seen that. What also does not work is threatening political opponents with arrest, harassment, and even jail. That is a failed path. Recent history has proven that impeachments and trials turn those on trial into political martyrs and only make them more popular with the...
It sounds here like they're literally trying to convince Donald Trump to not go after people and jail his political opponents or use the military to go after political opponents. They're trying to give a rationale. Like, you've proven in the past that impeachments and trials just make people more popular. So, Trump, you shouldn't use the military to go after people because you might make your opponents more popular. But that's not really the case. Trump gets more popular when those things happen because he thrives on negativity and division. It doesn't benefit Democrats in the same way. Or at least it really has not. If Democrats choose a different approach, it can benefit them. But yeah, it's been very clear that's a unique thing to Donald Trump. Like, Trump supporters right now are talking about Democrats going to Diddy parties and also accepting Matt Gaetz, bro. Like, there's no standards or principles here. They only care about political power.
The American people. Just ask Bill Clinton and Donald Trump. We know this will be a consequential presidency. The question is whether it will be constructive. It will take a new approach from all sides, from both parties, and a leader who can bring them together. And only time will tell if Donald Trump is that leader. As for us, we also let him know that we will continue to speak truth to power and push back hard when called for, as we have with all presidents.
Don't be mistaken. We're not here to defend or normalize Donald Trump. We're here.
Huh. Look at these faces right here. I'm not here to defend or normalize Donald Trump. He doesn't even sound serious, bro. He looks like he's about to, like... This does not seem... Bro, they gotta take some acting classes.
We're not here to defend or normalize Donald Trump. We're here to report on him and to hopefully provide you insights that are going to better equip all of us in understanding these deeply unsettling times. And I am reminded of what Marty Baron, legendary editor, told his Washington Post reporters back in the first term. We're not going to war. We're going to work.
Bro, I can't do the cliches, but that is true. Sky, they usually say a sign of a poorly ran business is a really big turnover rate. in the staff because you don't know how to hire. And Donald Trump's first administration had like by far the highest turnover rate of any presidential administration in American history. Like people were in and out of that admin constantly. Like every day a new person was there. But that was largely because of legal reasons. So, and there was still some law in place. Now law is gone, so maybe that won't be the case. But Trump's cabinet did have turnover constantly, and there's going to be arguments and feuds. So these first people that are in here are just all the loyalists. And if any of them say no to anything Trump wants, they're going to be kicked out instantly. They are talking about Trump like a king. They're calling him daddy. They're calling him God. And that's what they want Trump to be. They want to say Trump has a mandate. We could do literally anything now. And that's not really what we're seeing, obviously. The word mandate, winning by 1% in the popular vote, is really interesting. Please drop a like on the stream, hit subscribe, or drop a like on the video if you're watching it in video form, and hit subscribe, leave a comment to help out in the algorithm.